Is it a trilogy or is it going to be a thrilogy? What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative, a channel where I talk about all sorts of fun bookish things in the science fiction, fantasy, and horror genres. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here for a week, 2 weeks, a month, or more, welcome back. If you missed my weekly reading update on Monday, I will sling that up in the cards for you if you want to hear about what I read last week and a little bit about what I am working on this week. And as always, you are welcome to more real-time updates by visiting the Nerdy Narrative Discord. July went by stupid fast. It is already the first week of August, and so that means it is time for a July wrap-up. So I'm just gonna chat a little bit about the books that I read in July, a little bit of teaser information about the books that I read to see if maybe you would be interested in checking those out. And hopefully I can provide you enough information for you to decide if it's something you would rather get from the library versus purchasing. I am gonna start with Peace Talks by Jim Butcher. This book finally came out on July 14th. It doesn't matter when you joined the channel. There was no way you haven't heard me talk about this book because I have been talking about it the whole year and it didn't disappoint. This book is book 16 in the Dresden Files. I don't want to go into too much detail for it because if you're not up to date with the Dresden Files, what I would tell you about this book really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. However, I did do a full discussion about Peace Talks where spoilers abound. I will put that in the cards for you if you would like to take a look. If you haven't read up through Peace Talks, you don't want to go watch that. That is strictly for people who have read up to this book and want to gush about all of the things that happen and discuss theories about what may happen in Battleground, which comes out at the end of September this year. As you can imagine, it is about our favorite wizard and the latest pots of hot water he has found himself in. So next up in July, I finished my reread of The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, which I read along with the Storm Along 2020 group. I have a couple of videos about this book that go into detail. I will again throw those up in the cards if you're interested, but because I already have 2 dedicated videos to it, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here with it. But if you have not read the Stormlight Archives and you're a huge fantasy lover, I would highly recommend this series to you. I know the number of pages looks daunting, but just give it a chance. I felt the same way. When I picked it up, I looked at how many pages it had and I thought, oh my gosh. When I was nearing the end, suddenly 1,000 pages just wasn't enough. I know it's crazy. Give it a chance. Peace Talks was definitely my #1 most anticipated book of this year, and I enjoyed it very, very, very much. However, Peace Talks is actually the first half and Battlegrounds is the second half of what was the original book. So with that said, it's not a complete work. You can definitely tell the manuscript was split, so I'm not gonna count that as my most favorite read this month. And I won't count The Way of Kings, but because we already knew that was my favorite book. So of the new material that I read this month, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about my favorite, which is Wildcat by J.P. Harker. I am planning to do a dedicated review of this book. I hope to have that up for you maybe on Friday, but I loved this book. It pulled me out of a reading slump, which was a feat in and of itself. It had some amazing character development. The plot was just astounding. We're following a tribe of people who was attacked and basically conquered and forced under rule by another group of people called Gaians. I'm kind of getting like a Romanish feel off of them. Probably thinking to yourself, okay, well, that's a familiar trope. Yes. And it's one that I don't care how many times I read it, I will read it again, especially when you have amazing character development and there's enough interesting things about it that make it different. And again, if you've been around a while, you know that I love the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. and this book was giving me those vibes. Now, I've only read book 1 of the saga so far, but I am freaking on fire to get the second one read because I've heard it was even better than this one, which blows my mind because this one was so amazing. You know, it's just always a good story when you have a strong tribe of people who are facing oppression and conquered. They just find it in themselves to overcome those odds to take back what is rightfully theirs. What I really loved about it is the fact that there were times where both sides were in the wrong. There was honor and loyalty on both sides, good men on both sides, extreme evil on both sides. I like that. I like that there was just not one clear good guy versus bad guy sort of thing. The characters were just so human. They weren't just immediately the best at whatever it was they were trying to do. There were mistakes made. There were things that happened where characters carried around shame and guilt for things that weren't their fault and how they came through that process. I just related to it so well. I enjoyed every page. I can't wait to continue this series. Next up, let's talk about Wayward, which is book 2 in the Wayward Pines series by Blake Crouch. The first book was Pines, and I buddy read that with Kayla from krakentoagoodbook. We also buddy read this one together. We were in complete agreement on both books. Pines, fast-paced, thrilling. You did not want to put it down. Your heart was just constantly racing while reading it. The excitement levels were just whoosh. This one, not so much. And I don't want you to think that I didn't like it. I did enjoy it. It was a great book, but I expected it to have that same fast-paced, thrilling ride as Pines, and it wasn't there. This one was more strategery. We learned a lot more about the town and how it came to be and why, and more about the threat that the people are up against. It was good, but it wasn't great. That's probably partly my fault for expecting to have that same ride continue as the first one. However, I've heard that book 3 is really off the charts, so I've already talked to Kayla. We are going to buddy read that one for the month of August and see if it brings back that pacing and thrilling ride as the first book did. So again, there's not a whole lot I can tell you about this book if you haven't read Pines. Anything I could say more than the little teasing bits I've said would spoil Pines for you, and I don't want to do that because it is worth the read. The next book I completed in July is The Hero of Numbani by Nikki Drayden. It is the first book in the Overwatch series. I have been scouring the internet. I can't find anything to tell me if they're planning to make a whole series of all of the Overwatch characters. It is about Efi and Orisa, and Orisa is one of the heroes you can play in the video game Overwatch. I've been trying to find information to see why they started with her. She wasn't even one of the original heroes you could play when the game came out. I haven't found anything. I am so disappointed in the lack of information out there, but I'm going to keep a watch for it. And you can bet I will keep reading these books. Nikki did a fantastic job on this book. And even though it was like it's a middle grade young adult book, it's still written in a way that as an adult, I really enjoyed it. And that could be because I love the game so much. I loved how she incorporated the voice lines from Orisa into it. And 2 other heroes from the game are mentioned, Doomfist and Lucio. Lucio is one of the heroes I play the most. I mostly flip between him and Mercy in the game. So him being in this and his personality just matched that of the game. Just the clever way that she incorporated all of their voice lines and the way that they acted, it just felt seamless. I loved it. I hope that the series continues. I also became a fan of Nikki Drayden herself, and she has another book out. The name is, I want to say it's like The Prey of Gods or something similar, and I've got that one on my list to buy and add to my collection and read. That's how impressed I was with her. So not only did I get a book that is based on one of my favorite video games, I got introduced to a new author as well. What a killer combo. If you're not familiar with the game, The Hero of Numbani is about a little girl named Efi. She is an 11-year-old roboticist. She is just brilliant. Numbani is a city where humans and omnics, which are robots, live in harmony together. And that's being threatened by the bad guy, Doomfist. Efi sees a need that her city's current robots cannot fulfill. They cannot stand up to Doomfist. She takes a decommissioned OR-15 and reprograms her and builds her in a way so that she is better able to defend Nimbani against the threat of Doomfist. Ify has to go through a process with Orisa. There are so many bugs and programming that is so difficult to get through, and it's just done in a very clever way. While it is middle grade, young adult, it is still written in an intelligent manner, so it's not so easy that it's childish. It's able to portray the complexity of a robot while making it understandable for all ages, if that makes sense. I loved it. So the next one I want to talk about is Lullaby by Daniel Barnett. Oh my word. So Lullaby is book 2 of the Nightmareland Chronicles, which is eventually going to be a 12-book series. I wish all 12 of these books were available because I would sit down and try to binge all 12 back to back. The story is amazing. The first book is Nightfall. I did do a dedicated review for that. I will throw that up there for your viewing pleasure if you would like to take a look. But Nightfall is basically the beginning. It is about the last day in May where the sun just blacks out. Pure, total darkness falls over what we assume to be the entire world. Nobody knows why. When the darkness falls, people start going mad. And you don't really know why. Like that part was not quite explored. I had a lot of thoughts about it. I just thought people that were maybe weak-minded couldn't handle the dark and they just started losing their minds. But when I read the arc for Lullaby, things started clicking into place. So this one picks up where the first one leaves off, where the two main characters, John and Mariah, are embarking on a journey to reach John's adult daughter. And I am not going to tell you a whole lot about it. It is a short novella. I want you to read it for yourself. We get some information that leads me to believe that it wasn't a cosmic happening that the sun went out. Something either caused it or something has maybe hidden it or stopped the world from rotating. I don't know, but I think it was not just a random thing. I think it was caused. And I have so many theories and I would love to discuss them with you after you've read the book. But what I really want to talk about is the character development. Holy smokes. This was some insane character development. In fact, I was so shocked because we really get Mariah's character fleshed out here and I wasn't expecting it. I really was not expecting the depth and the level of what all happened in this short book. I keep saying Daniel Barnett is a wordsmith. He is a master at saying a whole lot with few words, if that makes sense. If you read his books, you'll understand. But I was floored by this book. I read it in one sitting and then instantly started dying on the inside because I need book 3. Oh my gosh, I need book 3. I need some of y'all to read this book and come talk to me about it. I just can't imagine what's gonna happen next. I will end my wrap up talking about the Inuyasha manga that I buddy read with my booktube bestie Una from the CodeX Cantina. We only read the first 20 books of the Inuyasha manga series so far. I've watched the anime countless times. I own the entire series on Blu-ray and DVD, plus all 4 movies. It was really difficult not to watch it again while we were reading, but I didn't want to get the two experiences mixed up with each other. The book series is only 56 volumes, and I think there's like 167 of the anime series. But that's because the manga is a more condensed version of the story. They use the show to kind of flesh out more of the characters and kind of some side stuff along the way, which I'm not complaining. I love the show. My love for the show is why I wanted to read this manga in the first place. So the premise of Inuyasha. Inuyasha is a half demon. He is half dog and half human. He does look more on the human side than the dog side. He doesn't have a tail or anything like that. He just has really cute pup ears. So Kagome is a 15-year-old Japanese girl of the Higurashi family. Her family actually lives, maintains, and runs a shrine in modern day Japan. Well, one day Kagome is helping her little brother look for their cat, and they're looking in the Bone Eater's well, which is kept locked up. Well, what do you know? Kagome falls down the well, turns out to be a portal to feudal Japan, which is where she meets Inuyasha. Inuyasha was found impaled to a tree by a magic arrow, which Kagome removes. It was placed there by a priestess named Kikyo, and Kagome is somehow a reincarnation of Kikyo. And so therefore she's able to remove the arrow, holding Inuyasha to the tree, and he ends up saving her and the little townspeople from a demon. The reason the demon is after her is because inside her body, she is housing the Shikan jewel. The jewel was last seen being burned with Kikyo's body. Through shenanigans, accidents, mistakes were made. The jewel is hit by one of Kagome's poorly aimed arrows. It shatters, the pieces get scattered all over the world. As a result, Inuyasha and Kagome set out on a quest to get all of the Shikan jewel shards back so they can reform the jewel. It's not an easy journey because every demon in the world wants to get possession of the jewel shards because it increases their powers. The more shards they get, the more powerful they become. And not only do the demons want the jewel shards, so do some really bad men. And as their journey goes, they meet more friends and add to their party along the way. And their relationship goes through some crazy ups and downs. Probably one of the things I like the least because we find out that Inuyasha and Kikyo used to be in love, and Kikyo is supposedly the one impaled Inuyasha to the tree. So he hates her, and at first he hates Kagome, and then they start to like each other. Then Kikyo gets resurrected and gets all up in the middle of their business. I am not a fan of Kikyo. So we got through the first 20 volumes. We really enjoyed it. And then poor planning on my part. I didn't have the rest of them available. Neither did my library. So we're gonna put those on hold for now. Finish the series at a later date once I can get those collected. And we're picking up with a new one next month. Well, now you know what I read in July. I told you a little bit about each one to maybe help you make a decision of if it might be something you're interested in, or if you've been on the fence about it. Should you get it from your library first to see if you like it, or maybe go ahead and spring for purchasing it for your collection. If you need a little bit more information about any of these, drop me a comment below. I would love to help. I also have a link to the Nerdy Narrative Discord in the description box below if you would like to come over and join the family there. I hope you enjoyed my wrap up. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button below. Let me know that you liked it. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.